District Attorney Willis, thank you so much for your time tonight. I really appreciate you being here.
No, thank you for having me.
We have, of course, limited visibility into the actions of your office. We know what we know from the letters that have been made public, from the statements from your office, and from other public source reporting. So I feel like I need to just ask you at the outset if I got anything wrong or if there's anything that I've misconstrued in terms of explaining the actions of your office thus far.
Actually, while I was listening to you, I thought you got it exactly right, that you understood what I was trying to express in that letter. So no, there's nothing that I heard that you got wrong.
Oh, good. Well, the way your investigation has been reported in the press, and as I understand it, is that it is centered on, but not limited to, this phone call that former President Trump made to Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger. Is that a fair way to understand it?
Absolutely. I've been in this business now for 25 years. 19 of those years have been spent as a prosecutor. What I know about investigations is they're kind of like peeling back an onion. And as you go through each layer, you learn different things. To be a responsible prosecutor, you must look at all of those things in investigation to be fair to everyone involved. This is a very important matter, as you've already highlighted. And so, yes, the investigation seems that it will go past just this one phone call that we've discussed and that you played for your viewers.
The phone call obviously is a unique piece of evidence because the whole country has heard it and because it has caused such a political uproar. When it comes to the question of whether or not people heard on that call may be implicated in a crime, either as victim or perpetrator, is state of mind, intent, a key part of determining whether, in fact, a crime was committed in a call like that? And I'm asking because the real thing I'm curious about is whether or not you are going to expect to, for instance, depose the former president to try to understand what his state of mind and his intent might have been behind that call.
Well, two things. First of all, in criminal law, we don't do depositions in very, very rare occasions, so that's not something we could use. Obviously, if one is charged with a crime, they're a defendant, and so they have a right to remain silent. And so, no, there would be no intent to depose. Now, someone that you're investigating, you can inquire about an interview, and certainly they can voluntarily come in and give an interview, but to depose them would not be the correct word. The other thing you said is a concept in the law, and it's mens rea, and you said is the state of mind of the individual important. And absolutely, when any prosecutor throughout this country is interviewing people and trying to determine if a crime was committed and if they understood what they're doing, the mens rea is always important. And so you look at facts to see, did they really have intent? Did they understand what they were doing? Detailed facts become important, like asking for a specific number and then going back to investigate and understand that that number is just one more than the number that is needed. It lets you know that someone had a clear mind, they understood what they were doing. And so when you're pursuing the investigation, facts like that may not seem so important become very important.
You mentioned in your letter, and first of all, thank you for setting me straight on whether depose is the right way to think about this. I am not a lawyer, and I don't pretend to be. I don't even play one on television, so thank you for that. But if you could further educate me on the grand jury process a little bit, you did mention in your letter that the next Fulton County grand jury is due to convene next month, and your office will begin requesting grand jury subpoenas as necessary at that time. Can you just walk us through what that means, what sort of work you'll be doing leading up to the grand jury convening, what circumstances might cause you to request or not request subpoenas at that point?
Yes, ma'am. So one of the things I did when I took office is that I made a commitment to the citizens of this county, which is the largest in Georgia, as you mentioned, with over 1 million people. Something the prior administration did is they bragged about having this process of indicting and charging people within 45 minutes. I don't think you need to be a lawyer to know that that is probably an unjust process, both for the victims of crime as well as the people that are investigated. So when I took office on January 1st, I met with the chief judge and I told him that I did not, there was no need to bring a grand jury in the first term of court, which for my jurisdiction terms of courts are 2 months. So the term of court would be January and February, because I needed to re-instruct my staff that we were going to investigate these crimes, and any crimes that we were going to present to the grand jury for charging or indictment would come up in the next term of court, which would be the March-April term. The grand jury, though, is a tool that is used to issue a subpoena. And so I can write a nice letter to someone and say, hey, will you please give me this? But if they don't give it to me, there's no legal consequence. So the way to formally ask for an indictment that is compelling, as opposed to just a lovely request, is to issue a subpoena. And so what I was doing as a courtesy to people that I respect very much is simply putting them on notice that when a grand jury convened, which would be in March, that they could expect to receive subpoenas, and that I would just ask that they, as also members of the law enforcement community, inform and educate their staff to not destroy anything, to make sure that things were preserved, because we would be coming to ask for them, and to make sure that those people that we needed to talk to as witnesses would be forthcoming, as we suspected none of them as being the target of an investigation, but just people that we needed to be truthful and forthcoming while we investigated this matter.
A very important point that as yet, there's no indication that any Georgia official is a target of the investigation. Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.